Welcome to Keto is the Worst, where I believe that if done properly, a low-carb lifestyle is not only healthy, but it is sustainable long-term and not at all restricted. So today, what I'm talking about is what is the best way to go keto, and is it better to go cold turkey or to gradually cut out carbs as you go? And I've done both in two separate instances, so we're going to go through that and see at the end of this video. I'm not really going to have an answer for you, but we can still go through it. Technically, there is no right answer to this. It's personal preference, and in different things, I have done both. For me, I do like cutting cold turkey a little bit more. Just setting a date and saying this is it. This is the last meal that I'm going to have, and from here on out, I'm going to do that. But I know that there is some benefits to the other thing, which is just taking it meal by meal or taking a carb out here, replacing and things like that. So we're going to get into the benefits and cons, pretty much anecdotal stories about each, and see what is best for you and your life. So where we're going to start is the way I did it, which is just cut it all out, pick a day, this is it, from here on out, we're going to go. We're starting there because that's what I personally did. So this is where I have more things to say. Anyway, we're going to be talking a lot about the time I went vegan instead of the time that I went keto. If you don't know, I went vegan about maybe 4 years ago. I tried it on and off for about a year and a half. And I'm just going to go back to there and bring a full circle to the keto, just because I think the story is a little bit better and there's a little bit more detail for me to get into on that side. So that's what we're going to do instead of telling you how I went through keto. But of course, it'll be all there. Just for you guys who are kind of new or just stumbling on this video, in a couple of days there will be shorter versions of each little tip that I'm giving out. So that's why this one might be a little bit longer than usual. It's just because I'm going to pretty much cut this. I'm not going to cut this, and then the other ones are going to be a little bit more concise, and then you can actually see that. But I'm going to give out the full story, so hopefully it will paint the entire picture. Now, I think this was about 2017, and I had just watched What the Health, and I know that is kind of a plant-based propaganda documentary, but back then I believed it, and that following day I said, okay, I'm going to start this. I want to do this for my health. I had some type of high blood pressure issues and things of that nature, so I thought maybe this was the right move at the time. And I had been working out for a long time, but it was still things that were less than ideal. So I decided to try this, and when I did decide that, I had like a chicken salad left over from that day because I was trying to diet at the time. And I said, after I have these leftovers the following day, then that's it. That's the last cheese. I think I had ranch in it, I had some chicken in it, some fried chicken in it, and some bacon. So I said, that's it for all of that. And I decided that I was just going to learn as I went. And through those first couple of weeks, I had a lot of chips and guac, a lot of salsa, a lot of hummus, and that was how I kept going until I learned some recipes, learned what I can have when I went out. There was a lot of Chipotle veggie burritos and like soy things from Chinese restaurants, and Domino's pizza without the cheese and a whole lot of toppings, and the garlic butter sauce, it's olive oil, so it is vegan, and the flatbread from Domino's is vegan if anyone is interested. So that lasted about a few weeks, about 6 weeks, that I didn't do any meat, anything that was animal based. I was able to stick to it for quite a while, and as I went, I just learned a little bit more and more videos, some books, some recipe books, and got a little bit more grounded into that plant-based world. Which brings me back to my first tip for going keto cold turkey is always have a keto snack ready, right? Do a little bit of research and see what is easy, what you might like, so that you always have it around the house, and that when you do get hungry or you do want to fall off track, you can actually have that and kind of push a little bit longer, push through that kind of up and down. So for me, that was pepperoni and salami roll-ups with a little bit of cream cheese in it. I think you may have seen it in it was in one of my grocery haul videos, but in a couple weeks I'm going to do just my go-to keto snacks, and that will be a part of it. Another one was buffalo chicken dip, which like a very quick version, not the full thing where you put it in a cast iron and put it in the stove, put it in the oven. It was just microwave some canned or leftover chicken and add cream cheese that has been warmed up, add some cheese and ranch, mix that all up, and the buffalo sauce. And that was pretty quick. I think you can make that in about 2 to 5 minutes, something like that. And yeah, that was one. That was two. And then the third one was just like a tuna salad, but I don't buy canned tuna, I buy canned salmon, so it's just the same idea with olive oil, mayo, salt, pepper, garlic powder, stuff like that. And those were my go-tos whenever I fell off, or not fell off, but anytime that I wanted to veer or I felt hungry, I always had that ready. So, and the little guacamole single cups, because those don't get old and don't turn brown, and you can have quite a few in the fridge for some time. So all that was what I kept around, so I can make sure that I always had something that was keto whenever I wanted something and I didn't plan for it, or especially when I mixed it with intermittent fasting and I wasn't able to go the full 18 hours, then those things really did help to get me there. There is also, like, you can have some nuts, or yeah, you can have some nuts and some other things, but those were mine. We are not done with this. There's just one last part. What is that last part? Cons. Okay. If you do decide to go cold turkey and just cut up all the carbs day one and just figure it out after that, one thing that I do want you to keep in mind is using bone broth and electrolyte powder, or any type of electrolytes, during those first few days, just so you can avoid the keto flu, because that is one of the reasons why some people do feel that. I didn't feel the keto flu. I actually did the bone broth and the electrolyte powder. So if you do it, please try that. Now I do want to take it back to the cons of going cold turkey. I want to say something else, but I don't like saying cold turkey that many times. But one of the cons is that when you do have the urge to come off of it, it's a very slippery slope, and you have to make sure you plan for it, and you have to make sure that you don't lose track of what you're doing, right? And you hop right back on. So taking it back to being vegan, I told you this video is going to be more about me being vegan than it was about me turning keto. But from when I first decided to go plant-based, I went 6 straight weeks, and my sister had come back in town, and then we were going to a restaurant, and I looked at the menu, decided what I was going to have, because that is extremely important whenever you are on a restrictive diet. Just make sure that you know what you're going to have beforehand, because you don't want to go with no plan. That's a very easy way to fall off your plan. But I had what I wanted, and then during that meal, or during the way there and during me looking through the menu, I had convinced myself that if I was going to eat meat, this would be the time to eat meat, because it was once I haven't gone to this restaurant in maybe 5 years at the time, and this was the time to do it if I was going to do it. So by the time I was having that internal debate in my head, a 30-ounce prime rib showed up on my table, and that is how I broke those 6 weeks of being plant-based. Now, just a little side note, I went plant-based for health reasons, and not like, I went plant-based for health reasons mostly. So in my mind, it was, as long as you are mostly keto, mostly plant-based, you should be able to have some type of red meat, some type of chicken, some type of animal products, because you've been having your whole life. So why is that one meal gonna be a problem? That was my thinking. So, and I just really wanted it, and I was going to tell myself anything for me to go get it. And that was the problem, because during that weekend, or during that week, I had decided that before I went back to being vegan, I wanted to have some of the stuff that I had been craving for the past month and a half, which was spinach artichoke pizza from downtown, and also a chicken alfredo, right? That was my favorite pasta. So all that together, I kind of had that throughout the week, and I never went more than 2 weeks off of meat or animal products after I had come off that first time. I went 1 week here, 2 weeks there. There was a time, because it was New Year's, that I actually did a full 28 days, and I fell off again. So then that pretty much started my on and off with trying to be plant-based for about 2 years, and then I just quit. And I do have plant-based recipes today, but there is no part of me who wants to go back to that full time. Now, why do I say that for keto? Because that first time that you do go back to carbs, you're going to want to go all out. And if you don't have a plan, if you don't gradually go back in, it is very dangerous that you're going to just keep having those thoughts in your mind. You're going to keep wanting to go back, and you're not going to stay in ketosis. You're not going to want to push that, because if you lose weight pretty fast on keto, like some people do, and then you kind of come back to carbs, you hit your weight goals, and you kind of fluctuate in sort of an area that you want to be, you might convince yourself that you really don't need to be keto. You can just be lower carb, or you can just change things up, and then that's how you stay on that for a very long time, never committing to something. Or I mean, if you're happy that way, then of course do that, right? There's no judgment here or anything like that. Pick what works for you for the long term. That's what a third of my intro is about, whatever works long term for you. That's pretty much it, right? I just want you to be careful of that first time going back to carbs. I'm not somebody who has no carbs ever. If you guys have watched any of my previous videos, you know that I find my upper limit for carbs, and which is about 40 to 60 depending on how much I'm working out. And in that, I'm not gonna go no carbs. I'm not a carnivore kind of person, so I do find that range, and I still have my carbs. And then I have a cheat day about every 10 to 14 days, which some people might call like a carb refuel day. Like, I really don't call it that, but it's just whatever I want, whatever I've been craving, I have that. So, and in my grocery haul videos, you'll see that usually I buy one thing that's carb based and one thing that is sweet based, and that's like once a week or something like that.
That's not keto.
But
And
sometimes
this
they
is
fall within my range, so it's
sweet
not necessarily a whole cheat. But yeah, just keep that in mind. And early on is very important, because now that I've been doing this for a year and a half, is it a year and a half? It's about a year and a half. So I get back into ketosis pretty fast. It takes me like a day or two, or I might not even go out of ketosis when I have a cheat day, right? It just goes from maybe like a 1.5 to a 0.5, which is still technically in ketosis. So I know my body, I've done a lot of testing, and I know that I can stay within keto while still having some carbs here and there. But early on, that's very hard. It doesn't work that way, because it takes a few days. It might take a week or two. It might start you all the way back from zero, depending on how far gone you go. So just keep that in mind, and try to, if you do go cold turkey, bone broth, electrolytes, and plan those times that you're going to come off, and make sure you hop right back on, and try to make it as short as possible, because we do want you to live your life, or I want you to live your life. I don't know who we is, and enjoy it. So I don't want you to not have what you like every now and again, right? On the other side of going cold turkey is gradual. It is taking a carb here out, a carb there, a meal there, whatever your plan is. You pick a time frame, and you say, from here to there I'm going to be keto, but I can manage the way I'm going to take out carbs, so I could get myself accustomed to that, right? That is completely valid. That is something that I usually don't do. I just like to see what I can do and then adjust from there. But if I had that mindset when I started working out or started learning how to weight lift, I would have broken my back. So there is room for, let's take this slow, let's learn how to do this first, and then ramp it up. I understand that, and that is what I am going to talk about now, which is some things you should keep in mind when you do have that plan. And do you know what we're going to talk about? Yeah, it's going to be about when I went vegan. A big thing was meatless Mondays, and having that one day a week where you take all your meals and you try to just replace it with something plant-based. And over time, you might make it meal by meal, or you might make it day by day. So this week is going to be one meal, or next week is going to be one day, and then depending on when you want to be fully plant-based, then you have one day off, right? So that's the same thing for any type of diet, any type of regimen. I eat 14 times a week, right? Twice a day. And if that was the case, then I would say maybe I learned 2 keto recipes a week, and those 2 will replace 2 of my other meals. And then that's how I learn gradually more about this lifestyle. And then hopefully in about 2 months, or whatever that math is, right? 14 weeks, I guess. Is it 7 weeks? Probably 7 weeks. Like 2 months. That's what it is. Just went through that whole thing for no reason, just to get back to 2 months. Okay, so in about 2 months, you will be fully keto, and then in that time you might have adjusted better to a lower carb lifestyle. So you might have avoided the keto flu, you might have learned some other stuff along the way, and you have settled yourself in, and then that way you are less likely to jump ship, right? And then you can, on your way there, you might have found out how many carbs you can have actually, and how badly something might take you out of ketosis, how some foods make you feel. But that is the reason why I don't like this version, right? Is the understanding how carbs and no carbs make you feel. Because once you are fully ketogenic, that is one of the biggest motivating factors for why a lot of people stay on. And that is because the way that you feel, the way that it gives you energy, and the way that you don't think about food at all, actually. And it keeps you on track to your target, right? The benefits of keto are not just rapid weight loss. It's so many things that help around a healthy lifestyle, which is why you have so many people who will go to bat for this diet, right? And that is why the title of this channel is targeted at those people who talk bad about this diet, because you know what, it's not that bad, and it's actually everything around it. Sometimes it gets misunderstood because this is a highly beneficial type of lifestyle. And when you talk to people who actually do talk negatively about the ketogenic diet, you understand that their diet is low carb in some certain, no one has a high carb diet who is still healthy. That's not something that is possible, right? A lot of packaged or processed foods, things of that nature. Probably want to cut all that, but so, and it's in that process that a lot of people do fall off, is because they never went fully ketogenic and they never felt those benefits, but they went low carb, they had a more balanced diet, a more moderate diet, and they still lost some weight, they still feel fine, and they feel like going fully ketogenic is too extreme, it might be too restrictive, but it's just because they never really felt the full effects and benefits of a fully ketogenic diet. And yeah, that's where you get a lot of people talking about whatever I just said. I don't need to repeat it. That it's not healthy. The last one is sort of a mix of both, because it is, I'm deciding I'm going to quit today, but you are replacing all the carb-based things gradually. So what that means is that you're replacing your regular diet with keto and low carb replacements products, right? It's having no pizza but having the cauliflower crust. It's having no soda but having the like no calorie stevia sweetened drinks, things like that. It's the, I'm not gonna have sweets or candy, but I am gonna have keto desserts. So it's just finding something here, taking it out and replacing it with its keto counterpart. And now that is valid and that is what works for a lot of people, but it's also very expensive, and it will make you feel, it's not the cleanest version of keto in the world, because a lot of these products are still packaged, they're still processed, they still have way too many ingredients, and that is something that we all need to strive away, we all need to get away from, is because that's not good for anybody on any diet. If you're not even a proponent of low carb, you still should be a proponent of let's get away from these packaged foods, because Whole30, or I'm not even sure what the full definition of that, but you want whole foods, you want simpler ingredients, better quality food, and that's going to be a better lifestyle and better for your health in general. So that having a lot of replacements or the just dirty version of keto, they're fine to start, but I want to stress getting away from that as you learn more about keto. And dirty ketos, of course, just like the bunless burgers or things all wrapped in cheese and a lot of bacon, and pretty much the things that pull you into keto from Instagram, those kind of can be dirty keto, depending on, of course, what it is. Some people do strive for clean keto, and that's what I want for all of you. It is having your vegetables, or if you're a carnivore, just having good quality pieces of meat, having your eggs, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I mentioned this in the other tip. Maybe I'll cut it there and bring it back here. But I can't end this tip without talking something about me when I went vegan. And this was what I was talking about, is that I had a lot of chips, I had a lot of there are some cookies that are vegan. There are a lot of bad products that are marketed as vegan because they technically are, but it's not something that you want to have long term. It's great for the conversion. Some of these like cream cheeses or things that are not meat, that pretend to be meat, they have a lot of ingredients, and those are not all great for you. So you can have them some of the time. I'm not saying, I still have bad things for me some of the time. They're good for you. They're good for your mental health or something. But as a whole, you want to get away from anything that has so many things that you don't know what they are, right? You wouldn't be able to explain it to anybody. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I had a lot of potato chips. I had a lot of, I think, Oreos, and there's some other kind of pastry snacks that are technically keto. I mean, PETA, I think, has an entire list of things that are accidentally vegan. And I went through all that list and I stayed on it, and half of it was a clean version of being veto. Being veto, that is something that is almost impossible. I've tried that. That's how I started keto, trying to be veto and vegan keto. But that didn't work out for me at all. And that is a story, I think it's a story I actually did talk about early on, but that is a whole nother story, and I won't get into it here because I want to not be here forever. I started off with the chips and the Chipotle and the Domino's and the Chinese restaurants, and I've graduated into wraps and pastas and sort of making my own kind of home-cooked whole food meals. And that's the point of all this. Is why I do have this channel, because I want to expand what I make in my meal plans. I want to expand what I make in my recipes. So that's the whole point of this. It's just to try to be healthy, try to be happy, try to be fit, whatever, I don't know. So I have this last point just to bring it full circle. The third time, I'm just making all these circles. For the third time, I just want to bring this back to being keto, and that is early on, it was a lot of buffalo wings. Everywhere I went, because I didn't really know what else was keto. And it was lettuce wrap burgers, which are not burgers, and I hate lettuce wrap burgers. They're not, like, I love a good burger, so that is just not it at all. But yeah, that is it for this video. Hopefully I got it all, because I've been talking for a while, and sometimes when I skip around, it's kind of hard to hit every point. But that is not for you. What is for you is, I do really appreciate you watching. Every subscriber, every view, it really does matter. And for you guys who've been here for day one, I really do appreciate that. And I have a whole lot of ideas. I have a whole notebook, and this is something I'm really excited about. So I really do want to thank you. And yeah, if you want to learn more about how a ketogenic diet can help you with your weight loss and maintenance goals, consider subscribing, giving me a like if you like this video, this type of content. What else do I got for you? My website at ketoistheworst.com. And I should have been already started on TikTok by now. I still do stuff on Pinterest. At some point, I'm going to want to start with Facebook and Twitter. So if you guys want to start first, help me out through that process, that would be greatly appreciated, because I don't even know what to put up over there. But I haven't had a Facebook since like 2011, so I really don't know if that's still a thing. Anyway, thank you again, and I will see you in the next one, which should be a chicken and waffles recipe coming out in a few days. And yeah, I will see you. I'm just going to keep talking and make it really awkward on this little exit, because I really have nothing else to say. Hopefully I'm in focus. Now, what I did realize is I forgot to ask a question, and according to a book I'm reading, that is important to ask questions. So this is just going to be on top of one of the other videos. I already had my outro, but which is your preferred version, or historically, which one have you done? Is it cold turkey? You prefer going gradually and finding out how to go as you go? But both of them are really, you're going to learn this on your way, right? One of the things I don't want you to do is just read up all the things and delay your start. So let me know in the comments down below if you are more of a cold turkey person or a gradual slow burn, let's figure it out as we go kind of person. Both are right, Nothing wrong with either, but you know what I am. I want to know what you are. Thanks again. Let's try to get into it. Let's try to get up. Let's try to be in it. I'm not wearing a hoodie today, so I feel kind of weird, but it's still long sleeves, so we'll see. I was running out of different hoodies, but